So I got to see Wake Up Dead Man and I was very excited going into this. Knives Out is one of my favorite films of all time. It's in my Letterboxd top 4. Glass Onion was a film I expected to be really disappointed by because I didn't think there was any way they could recapture that lightning in a bottle, but they did. So for this film, I was ready for whatever Rian Johnson had done. I didn't watch any of the trailers, I stayed away from the marketing. And now that I've seen it, my feelings are slightly complicated. I think the murder mystery film must be one of the hardest genres to write, not just because you have to surprise people and have twists and turns, but it can be such a mechanical genre. There are so many long-winded pieces you have to get through, whether that's showing all the suspects, the detective turning up, the whole explanation at the end. These scenes are essential to the genre. If you didn't have them, you'd feel cheated. But at the same time, because they're in all of them, there's a risk that they feel repetitive. I think Rian Johnson is really aware of that pitfall, and he puts a lot of effort into making this film look and feel different. It's set in a completely new location, a small village with most of the action taking place in a church, but the tone of it is very different as well. It's still got jokes, there's still comic moments, but it's definitely the most somber of the trilogy. Probably already seen the crazy cast for this. You got Kerry Washington, Glenn Close, Andrew Scott, Josh Brolin, and they're all fantastic. But the ensemble in the previous films, they were all playing characters who had something and they were trying to keep it. And that just leans those two movies to satire because it's funny to watch people who have so much be completely out of touch with reality. The characters in this film have struggled a lot more. Their motivations feel more grounded, a bit darker. And so that different perspective means that even when this film is covering similar themes to Knives Out and Glass Onion, it's still able to do something different and interesting with it. I think ego is a huge part of these films, about what people will do because they feel like they have the right to do it, whether that's because of their money, their class, their status. And they even incorporate that a little bit into Blanc himself in this film. He's not the main protagonist in this, just like the other films, but they do give him this little arc, this moment where he questions himself. I really enjoyed that. So for the first 2/3 of this film, it really had me. It felt fresh enough, different enough, while still delivering everything you want from a Benoit Blanc mystery. But by the end, I've got to admit, it did lose me a little bit. Obviously, no spoilers, but at the end, there is the reveal of who did it, and it's very intricate and complicated, and I was watching it going, oh, that's really clever, but I just wasn't emotionally satisfied by it. And I think that's because I just didn't care about the characters in this the same way I did for Knives Out or Glass Onion. There are members of this cast who feel really wasted. They're great actors, but they just have really little to do. And it felt like they were, extra people to be red herring suspects, rather than people who are really adding to this story. I was really trying to work out why I felt this way, because this movie does so much right. Almost every other aspect of it feels really on par with the previous films. And what I think caused the character issues was actually the location. Because when you look at Glass Onion and Knives Out, they're pretty much all set in one location. All the family are in the house constantly in Knives Out. All the friends are constantly together on the island in Glass Onion. The locations keep those characters in close proximity to each other. So even when there's scenes where, there's no reason for one character to be there, or they don't even have anything to say, you see them react to other characters, you see them move about the room. They just feel present and connected. Because Wake Up Dead Man is essentially set in a village, it has to keep on finding excuses to bring all these characters together in one location. And when they do, they're always sat down, so you never really see the characters intermingle that much. It meant the relationships between them weren't as strong, so they felt like a bunch of individuals rather than a connected ensemble like the previous ones. It's a real shame because that's my only criticism of the film. Everything else about it was done so well. It sounds like a small thing, but it did have a big impact on my enjoyment at the end. No, I still think this is a damn good movie. It's better than most things you'll see in the cinema this year, and it does deliver all the twists and turns you want from a whodunit, but I do think it's definitely the weakest of the trilogy for me. I'm very curious to see if Rian Johnson's next film will be another one of these. He said in an interview he'd be happy making these films for the rest of his life, so it seems likely. I can't decide if I do want to see another one or not, because I do love these movies, but I also worry that if you're to keep going, it would start to feel repetitive. Anyway, if you're excited for Wake Up Dead Man, let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe.